Hi, I'm Dr. Amanda from Veterinary Center of Parker, and today I wanted to talk to you about when to spay and neuter your pets. First of all, excuse me, spaying and neutering, what is the difference? Spaying is what we do for female dogs and cats. It's when we remove the ovaries and the uterus. Neutering is what we do for males when we remove the testicles. Let's talk about when to do it, time frame for cats, because it's a little bit easier and it's the same no matter the gender. Cats finish developing faster, they reach sexual maturity faster than dogs. So I recommend spaying, neutering around 5 to 6 months of age. There haven't been any shown benefits that waiting longer to spay or neuter would help your pet in any way. And since the main goal is to avoid pregnancy, we want to spay or neuter before we reach that sexual maturity for them. For dogs, it's a little bit more complicated because in dogs it has been shown that waiting longer, until they're full grown, gives their bones and joints a chance to grow better, decreases risks of orthopedic diseases. So in male dogs, I recommend waiting to neuter until they're 9 to 12 months. This is going to be dependent on the breed that you have. So a Chihuahua may reach its full height at 6 months, where a Great Dane, they're not going to reach their full height till 12, 18 months. So considering the breed, but typically 9 to 12 months on average for neutering that male dog. If the male dog is showing annoying sexual tendencies, they're humping things, or there's an intact female in the household, we can do it as young as 6 months. Now, for females, when we want to spay that female dog, there's kind of two things to consider. First is every heat cycle that female dog goes through increases their risk of mammary cancer. Overall, not a super common cause of cancer that we see in dogs, but it has been shown to increase that risk. So, spaying at around 6 months of age before that first heat cycle. And some people don't want to deal with a dog in heat, and so they choose to spay at 6 months. The other school of thought, like we talked about for the male dogs, waiting till they're full grown and then spaying at 9 to 12 months, depending on the breed. And when they do go into heat, we like to wait 6 to 8 weeks after they've gone into heat before spaying them. So that can affect that timeline as well. Those are kind of the big things to think about. Definitely talking to your veterinarian when you come in for those puppy visits or when you schedule that blood work before the spay or neuter to kind of make sure we have the best time frame for what's going to work best for your family, what's going to work best for your pet. If you're getting 2 puppies, one's a male and one's a female, I would probably recommend closer to that 6-month age, just because then you don't have to worry about that accidental litter of puppies. So those are kind of things that we think about when we help you guys make that decision. Now, we hear a lot of questions also about the pros and cons of spaying and neutering. Definitely, it's a surgery, so there's always that risk of anesthesia and the risk of the actual surgery itself. We do everything we can to minimize risk. Of course, we want the best for your pet, but that's something that we want to keep in mind. There's always going to be some risk, right? So some people choose not to spay and neuter their pets, and that's okay. There are some difficulties. Sorry, that's not necessarily the right word. Some things to think about though. Some boarding, some grooming places aren't going to necessarily take that pet just because they have to keep them separate from other dogs. Things along those lines. Also things to think about. If you choose not to, let's talk about females first. If you choose not to spay your dog, obviously, if we remove the uterus and ovaries, they can't get cancer. In the uterus and ovaries, they don't have those organs anymore. So keeping that in the back of the mind, that's another organ that can get cancer. Mammary cancer, again, like we talked about, every heat cycle they go through increases the risk of mammary cancer. Pregnancy, that one's pretty obvious. And then something called pyometra, which is a uterine infection. And that can be life-threatening because it's an infection that's inside the body. And so those are all things that concern me when I think of an intact female that's sick. Just got a few more organs that we got to think about and take care of. Not to say that we can't take care of them. Just those are some of the things to think about. But again, she's got those hormones. It's more natural. She's able to grow as she needs to. She can breed if you're choosing to breed her. So there are positives to keeping her intact as well. And then for male dogs, similar idea. If we're removing the testicles and they can't get testicular cancer, prostate cancer also increases because of the hormones in the body. And then male dogs, they're out searching for that female, so we can see more roaming, more hit by cars because of that. Things along those lines. Again, I'm not trying to scare anybody into making that decision because, like we talked about, surgery has its risks as well. So thinking about your pet and what works best for your family and what works best for them. Again, if you decide not to spay or neuter as a puppy or kitten, we can always do it at another time when they're an adult. There's no end age that says we can no longer spay or neuter. So that's a possibility too. If you want to breed them a few times and then decide to spay or neuter, we can do that too. So these are all things to think about. And we just want the best for you and for your pet. Please come and talk to us anytime. We're happy to answer these questions. Thank you.